welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'm going to be showing you my recipe for a really flavorful and a really delicious jerk chicken. Now this is where I'm going to use the whole chicken and I'm going to roast it in the oven, and guys, it's going to be a delicious one. Now if you wanted to, before I get into the video, I wanted to mention you can go ahead and do this on your grill, you could do it in your oven, you could even try to do it on your stove or even in your slow cooker. It is a whole chicken, so whatever way you decide to do it and whatever way is easy for you, go ahead and do so. This recipe is going to be a baked recipe, so I hope you enjoy. So the ingredients that I'm going to need to make my quick jerk chicken is of course a whole chicken. I've gone ahead and split it down the breastbone because I'm going to face it on its back and flatten it on the pan, and that's how it's going to bake in the oven. I feel like it gets a more even baking time when you split it in half like that. So I have the chicken there. I have a little bit of orange juice. That's going to help me balance out the flavor of my jerk seasoning. Remember, jerk seasonings can sometimes be a little pungent and very spicy, and this one is the hot and spicy version that I'm using. So you want to make sure to mellow it out with something. So I'm going to use some orange juice for that. I also have a little bit of my homemade green seasoning just to add some extra flavor. And the jerk seasoning already has salt, but since it's a whole chicken, I might have to add just a little touch. But I'm going to give my jerk seasoning a taste just to see if it's really salty, and if not, I can go on with a little sprinkle of salt. So I just gave my jerk seasoning a taste, and it definitely has enough salt that'll evenly distribute throughout the chicken, so I'm not going to add any extra salt. So into my jerk seasoning, I'm going to go in with all of my green seasoning. And if you guys want to see how I make my homemade green seasoning, I'll have the recipe linked right up here so you guys can go ahead and make some. And I'm going in with my orange juice now. And as I said before, the orange juice is going to mellow out the flavor of the jerk a little bit and not make it as pungent and spicy as it is. So we're just going to stir this around, and then we're going to start to rub it all over our chicken. So the next step is to get all of that marinade and get it rubbed all over the chicken. And as you guys can see, I have some rubber gloves on. Now the reason why I have the gloves on is because that jerk seasoning is so spicy that if I were to rub it up with my hands on the chicken, then it's going to seep into my fingers and my hands are going to burn. So usually if you guys see me cut pepper or handle pepper, I never have gloves on. But this one is really spicy, so it's something that you want to take precaution of and wear some gloves when you're marinating the chicken. So I'm going to go on with some of my seasoning that I just made. And we're just going to start rubbing it into the chicken. You want to make sure to get under the skin, get in between the pieces of meat, get under the legs. And you can get inside of the chicken as well. So you just want to massage it very well. And of course, when you split the chicken, that bone is going to be exposed. So you want to be very careful because you don't want to swipe your hand through it. It can cut your hand and you don't want that. So just be very careful as you're massaging the chicken. And you want to get it rubbed in really well. So make sure you take your time with this so this way the chicken can get a lot of great flavor. I wanted to mention that all of the ingredients and the measurements that I'll be using will be in the description box down below as usual. And we're going to make like a little sauce to go on the chicken while it's baking, so this way we can baste it. But I'll go over those ingredients a little later in the video. So I'm going to keep rubbing on my chicken here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap this up. I'm going to put a plastic wrap over this bowl, and I'm going to leave it in the fridge for a couple of hours. Now you could leave it in the fridge from anywhere from 2 hours to overnight preferably, so that chicken can really soak in all of these flavors. And then tomorrow we can go ahead and put the chicken in the oven, and we'll have an amazing jerk chicken. So my chicken was marinating in the fridge overnight, and what I did was I allowed it to come up to room temperature, so I took it out of the fridge and I let it sit on the counter for about an hour before I stuck it in my oven. Now I put it in the oven at 375 degrees, covered under foil wrap. And at this point I'm making my little glaze that's going on the top. I have some honey, a little bit of that jerk seasoning, as well as a little bit of orange juice. I'm going to mix this together and I'm going to set it aside for when the chicken comes out of the oven and it's time to start basting it. After about an hour of cooking under that foil wrap, I pulled the chicken out of the oven and I removed the foil wrap. Now what I'm doing is I'm ladling a few tablespoons of that broth and that oil that came off of the chicken, and I'm putting it into my glaze mixture. You want to do this so this way you could keep basting the chicken in its own juices. Once you finish mixing your glaze with some of the juices from the chicken, you're going to ladle some onto the chicken and baste it for the first time. It's a very loose glaze, so all you're going to need to do is spoon some on top of the chicken. Now once you do this, you're going to stick it in your oven that you've now cranked up to 400 degrees, and every 10 minutes you're going to pull it out and spoon a little bit more of this glaze on top, and then your chicken will be done. Alright guys, so this is what my jerk chicken looked like when it got out of the oven. My chicken cooked for about 2 hours and 15 minutes. The time is definitely going to vary for you depending on how big your chicken was and how hot your oven is. A little tip is that if you own a meat thermometer, that would be a good thing to use to make sure your chicken is done. You want to stick it in the thickest part of the chicken to be able to read that thermometer accurately. So once it comes out of the oven, you're going to go ahead and let it rest for about 15 minutes so all the juices can marry together. And then from there, you can take it out of the pan and chop it up into whatever pieces you want, and you can serve it. So I hope you enjoyed this quick and easy jerk chicken recipe today. It's so simple to use that store-bought jerk seasoning recipe, and you can use whatever flavor of it you want. They're very spicy, the mild version, or the not spicy. So I hope you give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you're not subscribed yet, and make sure to leave your comments down below. I'll see you guys again very soon.